What's up, everybody? I'm Bear with BearIndependent.com, and today we're going to talk about 10 things you, as a suburban prepper, should probably focus on if you're going to survive the end of the world as we know it, man, or whatever. Now, clearly, I live out here, not exactly suburbia, wild beasts just roaming around everywhere. But believe it or not, I have lived in suburbia all across the United States, 38 of the lower 48 United States. Been there, and the fact that I choose to live here should say something, but I realize many people find themselves in a position where they can't or won't leave the suburbs for whatever extenuating circumstance you may like. And so it got me to thinking, how can I assist those in the Bear Nation who are still suburbanites? Well, having lived in suburbia and been into preparedness since 2006, I do know a thing or two about that. So let's go through those things today. Now, the first pro tip I have for you is the bug out trailer. Here's mine. Took the tarp off of it so you guys could see what's on there. This is a 5x7 trailer. It'll hold 1,500 pounds or so, and it can be towed with pretty much everything. I don't know if a Prius even has a tow hitch on it, but anything that has a tow hitch can pull this. When I lived in suburbia, I had this in my garage, pointed out, ready to go. And part of our bug out protocol, when it was time to go, was my wife, her job was to get the children in the vehicle. My job was to throw the bug out bags in the back of the vehicle, and she would then back up to the trailer, open the garage door, back up to the trailer, hook it up, and we're gone. So what's in this? You can see there are 12 big black and yellow totes right there. There's water cans, jerry cans here. I got spare tires, I got a jack, I've got tools, I've got long handled tools, I've got a tent, I've got chairs, I've got tarps, I've got what's in these bins here are things like sleep kit, like sleeping bags and ground sheets, and a portable field kitchen, and propane tanks, and cast iron pots, pans, the whole nine. All the stuff you need to essentially go camping for an extended period of time. And it's all loaded on the trailer, ready to go. Pick up the tongue, hook it on the ball, we're out. And it really simplifies things. That way you're not running through a checklist of what do I need to throw in the vehicle to take with me. It's already packed, it's already ready to go. It's right there on the trailer, ready to go. Everything you need, loaded, hook the trailer and leave. And so by the way, if you're interested in more information on this, I'm going to be doing an entire series on Patreon, Bear Independent. Search for Patreon, go to Patreon, search for Bear Independent. I'm gonna do a box by box, what's in it on Patreon. But general concept is here, the bug out trailer. Next, the bug out bag. Everybody knows about the bug out bag, right? It's the best, it's tremendous, believe it, everybody tells me. Beautiful, beautiful. Bug out bag. The particulars of what go in that, you can look for the playlist here on this channel, Bear Independent, the Prepper Classroom. Everything that needs to go into a bug out bag. 12 C's of survival, boom, right there in that video. And if I was high speed, I would link it up here, but I'm not. So if somebody wants to do everybody else a favor, put it in the comments, that'd be awesome. Prepper Classroom Bug Out Bag. YouTube is the second largest search engine on the face of the earth, owned by the first largest. That search bar works really well. Here's the thing with the bug out bag. Most people have a bug out bag, but they have no idea where they're going. They don't have a bug out location. You need a bug out location. Once you know what the bug out location is, that informs what the bug out vehicle is that we're gonna take. Probably your daily driver, maybe your big badass SHTF rig or whatever, but how am I gonna get there? And then, knowing what vehicle I'm gonna take, I have my bug out kit. Remember that trailer we just talked about? All the stuff that I wanna go with me. And then the lowest common denominator of that is the bug out bag, because ultimately all systems degrade into man-portable systems. We have to be able to carry it on our back if when something goes stupid, I can at least take the bare minimum load out of what I need to stay alive and thrive in the end of the world as we know it on my back. By the way, that sounds hardcore until you introduce babies, toddlers, and wives into this, and then all of a sudden it's a mess, which is why you should be able to get to your bug out location with your vehicle, and your vehicle should be maintained to the point that it can make it there. By the way, keep your tank topped off. Number 3 on our list, Commo. Now, this is the basic UV5R or UV5R knockoff from Baofeng and 100 other Chinese companies. They work. They're relatively affordable, although prices, like everything, have gone way up recently. But they work. They're dirty. They're not exactly clean. They got bad squelch, but they do work. Also incredibly important to understand, radios tend to work best in pairs. This is the Yaesu FT65. I like this one a lot more than this one. It costs significantly more. So, depending on what you have budgeted for Commo, will determine what you can get. You will be well served with a Baofeng, comma, there are better options. And so if you can afford a better option, get them. And remember, radios work best in pairs or multiples. A great advantage of having a radio is I can monitor all of my weather stations. I can also, as long as they're currently using analog, monitor all of my local fire, EMS, police stations, sheriff's departments, emergency response teams, search and rescue, so forth and so on. And a quick Google search or DuckDuckGo, depending on who you are and what you believe, will allow you, if you just put in radio frequencies and then your zip code, or radio frequencies and then your county, you'll find an entire list of all the pertinent frequencies, and you can program those into your radio. And that gives you the ability to passively or actively monitor those frequencies to gather intel in your area. Very powerful. It also gives you the ability to speak to other people within your crew, your team, your tribe, your mag, your community watch, whatever. Remember, there is no such thing as secure Commo. Spare batteries are good to go. So are push-to-talk mics. They're nice. And a better antenna makes a lot of difference, even on the same wattage radio. I don't know where you live, but everybody around here has a porch gun. And number 4 is the fighting rifle. Don't care what you get, where you got it from, how you aim it, what kind of sling you use, what kind of light you have, what kind of magazines you use, what it's chambered in. Don't care. Get one and learn how to use it. This is a pencil barrel AR-15 16-inch from Palmetto State Armory. I have been well served by it, and it has a SIG Romeo 5 dot sight on the top of it. Works great. Works great. You know what? You can have a $10,000 rifle, and if you have $3 skills, it doesn't matter. And if you have $10,000 skills, a very cheap rifle will get the job done. So go train with your defensive / potentially offensive weapon, depending on what the future may hold. This, however, is not a solve-all. This does not solve all your problems. Okay? And in preparedness, people tend to focus on firearms first and foremost. Guarantee you, you're going to have to eat. Guarantee you, you're going to have to drink. Guarantee you, you're going to have to poop. You may, hopefully never, have to actually shoot anybody. If you have to shoot people all the time, you live in the wrong place and your tactics suck. Okay? So while yes, we want a way to protect the people that we love, this is not our go-to. This is not our first line of defense. This is not the balloon has gone up, it's time to get up. The sheep are hungry. Can you hear them? Number 5 on our short list of things that suburban preppers can do to be better prepared is medical equipment and training. Truth in advertising, I own this company, Refuge Medical, handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever, 29 lives saved in the last 2 years, deployed on 4 continents with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, thousands sold to civilians, law enforcement, EMS, and fire, under $250. Did I mention made in America, guaranteed forever? This is the bare fact, refugemedical.com. This has everything in it you need to survive a critical bleed and work the March algorithm: massive bleeding, airway, respiratory circulation, head injury, hypothermia, and then everything else. I also have a soft tee banded to this side and a set of shears in this side. Then you need to know how to use these things. And while I would prefer that you bought a kit from me because it legitimately is the best, you can ask anybody. Guns and Gadgets, our buddy Jared, Wrangler Star, our buddy Cody, Reality, Survival and Prepping, Coda Boy 32. Ask whoever you want. They're the best. Comma, you need to know how to use it. Otherwise, much like your rifle, it's completely useless to you, which is why we started refugetraining.com. And so if you can come see us, refugetraining.com, we'd love to have you. And if you can't, find at least a Stop the Bleed protocol somewhere near you, and then go take that, because you need to know how to use your first aid kits. And then I would advocate that you stack for long-term gauze, tape, gloves, disinfectant, any OTC meds that you might need, any prescription meds that anybody in your house is on. Get as much of that from the doc as you can now while you can. And then an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Don't get injured. Don't get injured. Don't get injured. Step 5.5, get yourself a badass wife. It's going to make things easier. Who also drinks Ninja from, where's that?
Young Living.
Young Living. They don't pay us any money to say that. Next thing you can and should be doing is stack food and water. However that might look like for you. Again, Prepper Classroom playlist here at this channel has a wealth of information on how much of what to stack. Prepper Classroom. Free playlist here on YouTube. The long and short is, stack the food that you eat. A working pantry, in my opinion, should have at least 3 months worth of stuff in it. Additionally, we highly recommend the 4 types of grain: corn, rice, wheat, beans, 750 pounds per person per year. That works out to 3,277.18 calories per person per day. 3,200 calories a day. All the research that I've done, 18 different studies that I've read, all show that a military-aged male engaged in strenuous activity requires a minimum of 3,200 calories per day to maintain muscle mass, to not lose weight. And you're going to be engaged in strenuous activity. So I prep for everybody as if they were military-aged male. That gives me a little bit of headroom if they're not. If they're a 5-year-old girl or an 85-year-old woman or whatever, okay? So stack food and stack the food that you eat. Also, highly recommend the 7 meals plan. Think of 7 meals that you can make with very little input. Boil water or heat it up, whatever it is, 7 meals. The example that I use is spaghetti and meat sauce. It's easy. Boil noodles, dump sauce on top, boom, dinner. And stack those deep, and that allows you to take advantage of when something goes on sale. If spaghetti goes on sale, and you need 2 pounds per meal, you need 104 pounds for a year, and it's usually $1 a pound, and it's 40 cents a pound this week. Good, get 104 pounds of it. But people will think I'm weird at the grocery store. You're probably weird anyway, just lean into it. It's okay. It's okay. Now, with water, for me, I used 55-gallon drums in my backyard under the overhang of the back of my house out of the sun. You need a minimum of 3 gallons per person per day. 1 to drink, 1 to clean with, 1 to cook with. How do I know? We do this stuff. We deploy all over the place in austere environments, and it's a minimum of 3 gallons per person per day. Other places will tell you 1 gallon per person per day. That's for drinking. Take your body weight in pounds and divide it by 2. If you're a 200-pound male, that's 100 ounces or 3 quarts of water you're going to need at a minimum. And that can easily double when it's hot or you're engaged in strenuous activity. So that's 1.5 gallons right there. 3 gallons per person per day. 55-gallon drums in the backyard works. Otherwise, Walmart and certain camping spots sell 5-gallon and 6-gallon jerry can jugs. They're either square or rectangular. Those work great as well. Keep them in the garage so they don't freeze. Tip 7, stack fuel. Whatever kind of fuel you think you're going to need, stack it. 5-gallon gas cans, good to go. You can add additives to it. They will keep up to 2 years. Depends on what your relative humidity is where you live. Non-ethanol fuel for small engines and chainsaws, stack that as well. You can buy it by the quart pre-mixed. Very expensive, but it'll keep for a while. Otherwise, stack it in cans. Also, propane. Propane is good to go. We're going to talk about propane in tip number 8 when it comes to cooking, but propane, get some 20-pound, 30-pound, maybe 40-pound bottles. I don't like the 100-pound bottles of propane because they weigh 100 pounds, and I can move them, but other people may not be able to, so they're a little bit too big to use. 7B, also fuel. This is firewood. When I lived in the suburbs, we had a gas fireplace that we converted to be able to burn wood. And I kept a cord of firewood in the backyard stacked up, covered out of the weather, that if I needed it to heat my house with, I could. And we oftentimes did because the power would go out, therefore we had no heat, we'd build a fire. And it was actually quite enjoyable, and so we had that on hand. Now, depending on who you are and where you live, you can cut your own firewood, you can get it from a buddy, you can get some logs and some rounds dropped off from the local tree service. You can call the Firewood guy and have him delivered, or you can go to the dude that sells pumpkins and Christmas trees and pick up a stack of firewood from him. Doesn't matter. Get some firewood and it will help you get through those cold nights. Tip 8, how you gonna cook? So many people have natural gas or electric stoves in their homes, and that can be an issue if there's an interruption in service, is how they like to call it these days. When I lived in suburbia, I had a big green egg, and I like the big green egg because I can grill on this and I can bake on this, and I can use charcoal or I can use wood that I've gathered up out of the backyard to cook in this, and so I like that. Now, they're very expensive. A standard grill, a Weber grill, charcoal grill will work just fine for you as well. And so if you're gonna go charcoal, have some charcoal. If you're gonna go with wood, have some wood like we talked about. I also very much so like the big propane 2-burner stoves, 2-burner things that stand up outside. Hook a 20-pound bottle to it, fire it up, and have some big pots and pans and some skillets that goes with that stuff as well. And all that can live in a shed in the backyard or in the garage on a shelf until you need it. But you should practice cooking with it and have it available to you, because you're gonna need to eat, and you really don't want to be figuring out how you're gonna eat when it's, -19 outside and it's, ice apocalypse, snow apocalypse in Texas and all the wind turbines are frozen up or whatever. And so I like the big green egg. This is actually what got me thinking about doing this video, was how useful this guy has been in my life. Number 9, do an area study. There's good information at, again, the Prepper Classroom playlist here on Bear Independent. Also, Forward Observer is another channel that has lots of great content around how to do an area study. Long and short, you need to know who the good guys are and who the bad guys are in your area, and that also helps you greatly to put together things like a bug out plan. Where am I gonna go? How am I gonna go? Who am I gonna go with? When am I gonna go? What are my bug out indicators? All of that comes back to an area study, meaning you have a snapshot in time as far as what the operational intelligence is for your area. So do an area study, literally put it together, write it down, put it in a binder, keep it on a shelf, and come back and visit it every 90 to 180 days. Also determine what your bug out indicators are. When am I gonna go? Well, when it gets bad. What does bad look like? When I check 4 of these 7 boxes, is that bad? Do I agree that that's bad, or do me and my wife disagree? Does everybody within my group agree that that's bad, or do we disagree? So sort that stuff out now, an area study. And I know it's not terribly sexy, nobody likes it, it's not a brand new gun, or a brand new set of PVS 14 night visions, or a gas mask, or a big bushcraft knife, but it's very, very important. Do an area study. And while you're doing your area study, develop your local intel network. Who do you talk to and who talks to you, and what information are they passing to you? The stronger that is now, the more that's going to help you if/when the poo hits la ventilator. Number 10, get you some people. Whatever this may be, your extended family, your mutual assistance group, your crew, your tribe, your mag, your community watch, your team from the volunteer fire department, your bowling league, I don't care, your church, whoever it may be, get you a crew of people together, because it's gonna take people. Sooner or later, on a long enough timeline, if things get stupid, you are going to end up in a group. People group up. Tribe is a thing. It has been throughout the dawn of time. People understand that there is strength in numbers, and so you should take as much personal responsibility now as possible to put together that crew, to have some say in how that crew functions now, rather than just hope it's going to work out for you when the shit hits the fan, man. Negative. Because I can guarantee you this, the good crews are not going to be recruiting people when things get stupid. They're going to be inward focused, insular, gates closed, points out. They're not exactly interested in interviewing new people after something like that happens. And so do what you can now to develop that crew. And if that's your extended family, great. If it's you and 3 buddies, great. If it's half of your church, awesome, whatever. Get a crew of people and start doing the things together, doing life together, having meaningful engagement now, and point your collective efforts in the same direction. And you don't need to necessarily be 100% ideologically, theologically homogenized, right? You don't have to all agree on everything, but if you can agree on the big points, hey, the world's looking stupid and we should probably do something to combat that, you've got a starting point. Get a crew put together. And again, Prepper Classroom, got videos on all that stuff as well. And now for the bonus round. Didn't know you were getting a bonus, did you? Where am I gonna do my business, Bear? What about all that waste? Well, trash, you're gonna burn it. Well, how do I do that? You light it on fire. Safely, hopefully. You know, get a burn barrel or something. I don't know. You're gonna burn your trash. As far as your number one, your number two, learn the fine art of pooping in a bucket. Composting toilets. Cost you very little. You can get, there's a thing they make called the luggable loo, and it's a lid that snaps on top of a 5-gallon bucket that is a toilet seat. And you get some peat moss, get bales of peat moss or sawdust. Peat moss is preferable. You sprinkle some in the bottom, you do your business, you wipe your butt, you sprinkle some more on top of that, you wash your hands. Remember that extra water you needed? And then when it's full, you need a designated place to empty your composting toilet that's away from water sources, that's away from your garden, that's away from all of that. An easy thing to do there is to screw 4 pallets together in a square, dump it in there, then sprinkle some more sawdust or peat moss on top of that to keep it covered up. And remember, flies are a thing. So you want flies away from that. You want that away from wherever it is you're going to be eating your food or growing your food. Okay, learn to poop in a bucket. Oh, that's so gross. Listen, it's the end of the world, okay? Susie, simmer down. It's going to be okay, Karen, I promise you. Don't worry, Todd. It'll be all right. By the way, may I present to you Oklahoma's finest outhouse. That's right. Jacuzzi tub, y'all. Jacuzzi tub. No, I'm not making that up. It may not be operational yet, but it is a jacuzzi tub. Come at me, Internet. All right, so I realize we live a little bit differently than the vast majority of people out here. However, we have had vast life experiences. Everybody on my crew, everybody that's part of my tribe, lived in the suburbs at one point, most of them their entire lives until they came out here. And so we have learned a thing or two doing this, and hopefully these little tips, tricks, hints have been a blessing to you, and you can onboard these things and do them. Because, again, I understand that circumstance may dictate that you, for whatever reason, are unable to just come out of her, my people, and move out to a place like this. For those that are considering that, I strongly encourage you to seek the Father's face in prayer. And if he needs you gone from where you are, be obedient and go. Others of y'all, and the onus for doing this video is others of y'all have done that. And the Father has said, no, son, no, daughter, you are where you are supposed to be. Yet you still feel convicted to prepare. And so I wanted to make this video for y'all who are where you're supposed to be. And where that place is a scary place with high population density. To give you some tools in your toolkit to work with that when things go sideways, you're better prepared than if you hadn't taken these steps. I appreciate y'all. I really do. If you're new here, please go ahead and hit the little subscribe button, ring the bell icon. Come see us on Patreon, patreon.com, search for Bear Independent. Shout out to the patrons. You guys are the economic engine of the Bear Nation. And check out the Prepper Classroom. The best knowledge, tremendous, believe it. Everybody tells me it's beautiful. It's better than Melania. Shalom.